Blaine, we look forward to Tuesdays because we now get to have you weekly in studio, man.
Yeah, and it's nice that I just live right over here. And this is our AFR day. So, hey, Tuesday's my day at BYU. It's awesome.
Yeah, baby.
Okay,
Love it.
Let's start with this question, my friend. If you had to pick one thing that you would have BYU's offense do that you think would help them immediately, what would it be?
This is a single. Their completion percentage just needs to be higher, even if they're not getting big chunks, and that's not just on the quarterback. So if they could get that completion percentage up around 70 right now, I know that sounds
70.
That sounds crazy, right? But I think right now to get a rhythm, they're going to have to throw more really high percentage throws that may only be 3 or 4 yard gains. For a period of time to start to get these quarterbacks in a rhythm, the receivers in a rhythm, the offensive line in a rhythm, to feel some success. And so, you know what? Maybe they complete a ball on first down and it goes for 3, and they complete a ball on second down and it goes for 3, and they complete a ball on third down and it goes for 3, and they punt on 4th and 1. That's okay, because there's some success, there's some rhythm. And then maybe the next time they complete a ball for 4, and then they complete a ball for 5, and they get a first, and they start to move the chains. So to me, I think they just need to taste some success. A little bit, have a higher percentage of completions to start them into a flow that allows them to get confidence.
Right now it's 58%. So
Yeah.
even mid-60s.
Even 65 would be.
Yeah.
70 is a stretch. So I'm just throwing a big number out there.
Yeah.
Something to reach for.
But just the mindset being, okay, you know what? Let's get some throws. Let's get some catches. Let's get these receivers in the mode of catching 3 and 4 and 5 balls in a game. Let's get Taysom in the mode of completing 2 and 3 in a row. And I think that eventually things will happen. It's easy. It's easier said than done. I think that Ty's in the process right now of taking a look at everything that they've done and said, okay, what are the simple things that we're doing well? And let's do a little bit more of that. And let's give some rhythm things to our quarterback so that he can get some confidence.
I said BYU needs to be able to rush the ball to set themselves up for more success on second and third down. And a lot of that has to do with the offensive line. And now that we look at it, we go, whoa, no Louis, no Brad Wilcox, no Kyle Johnson. You had to bring in 2 FCS guys that started right away. So this offensive line is in progress.
Yeah, so we knew about Wilcox and we knew about Kyle Johnson, and that's what this staff thought they were going to have coming into the fall when they started to build what they wanted to do. With that in mind, veteran guys, big, strong guys. Imagine my shock when I go into the hospital Saturday morning with Gavin to have his ACL reconstructed, and Louis there. I'm like, what is going on? Like, you're not playing today either? Oh, no. Because he has been a physical presence. And the other thing is he's a veteran guy, even though he's only a junior. And talking to Mike Empey in fall when Louis missed some practice, he was like, man, I really need to have Louis because he fixes things on the O-line, especially with these, and not necessarily young guys, because Idy and Norman aren't young guys, but inexperienced in this offense. Even though Louis new to the offense, he's been around enough that he fixes things. Oh, no, let's go lucky call on this. Or, oh, if he takes that guy, I'll bounce over to here.
He's a monster.
He's a big, physical, strong guy that manhandles people, and he's got football sense about him, so he makes good decisions out on the field. So that's a big blow. When I found out he wasn't going to play, that was almost as big a deal as anybody not playing in that, with the exception of maybe Jamal Williams not playing. I don't know that doesn't have a bigger impact on the offense than any other player not having Louis in that game on Saturday because of what he brings. And so it's hard to go out and run the ball against teams that are as good as the first 3 fronts BYU's seen, especially the last 2 fronts.
Holy cow.
Utah and UCLA are really good, NFL guys along the front. So now they go to West Virginia. West Virginia is really skilled offensively, but they're not as physical defensively, and they have team speed.
I feel like they're like Arizona.
But they're inexperienced at linebacker, they're inexperienced at corner. So if you run it just a little bit, now maybe you can go attack the corners in the middle of the field a little bit more. UCLA's veteran at every position defensively. Utah are monsters in the front 7, and really, really good, and very good in the back end. NFL guy at free safety, NFL guy at corner. And so I'm not saying West Virginia's not talented. They're as talented as BYU, but defensively the matchup is a little bit better for BYU than Utah or UCLA have been.
Blaine Fowler with us on BYU Sports Nation. That said, what is the identity of the BYU offense right now, and what do you expect them to do against West Virginia?
Yeah, I think that you're going to see more quick pass game successful against West Virginia than we have the last 2 weeks, because I just don't think that their young corners are going to be as good at press coverage and maybe not be quite as physical as they've seen the last couple of weeks with the groups they've played in UCLA and Utah. So I think the quick pass game will be more successful. Sometimes you talk about, well, you got to run the ball to set up the pass, which that's true. You can do that. Sometimes when you've got an inexperienced offensive line and you're having trouble moving people off, sometimes you go with a quick throw game as an extension of your run game, kind of automatic throws, quick hitches, bubble screens, things like that. Get your guys in space, and now you get the D-line and the front seven running from sideline to sideline, and now you come back and gash them with some run plays, some draws, and some plays like that. And so sometimes it's not the run first sets up the pass. Sometimes it's quick throw can help establish your run game. And that's, we'll see a combination of that with BYU this week against West Virginia.
Make the case for keeping Taysom Hill as the starter.
It's a really interesting thing to me, you guys. So I come from that game, and my thought on the game was, man, the offense just doesn't have a rhythm to it yet. They're not having enough success on a regular basis to be confident with what they're doing. I see Taysom holding the ball a little bit too long at times, but I see receivers not getting off press coverage the way I'd like to see them get off coverage. So his first and second aren't open. I see some good pass protection followed by some bad pass protection. I see some inconsistency is what I'm seeing. And my thought is, so what do you do? And my first thought is, I really have to go look at the film because I'm not sure who it's on right now. And that's, guys, I've been doing this for 30-something years, right? And the coaches say, you know what? We don't know that it's Taysom because we got to go look and see. We got to see how many of these plays the receiver ran the wrong route. We got to see how many times there were people standing down or diving down by his feet so he couldn't stride out and throw it when he made a bad throw. We need to take a look at that. And then if we decide that 90% of the problem with the offense or 80% is because Taysom's making bad decisions or bad throws, they would replace the quarterback. But obviously, that's not what happened when they went and looked at the film. So there was culpability all around. And so they said, you know what? Now that we've looked at the film, the line has to get a little bit better. The receivers have to get more separation. The backs have to run the right holes. Taysom has to make some better decisions. And so as a whole, the offense, there's not a position that's without blame. Yet the people I talked to after the game go, we just have to. They need to get Taysom out of the game, and they need to get Tanner in the game. And I'm thinking, man, I'm glad you know that because I don't.
It's this. I don't. It's this because he's the most visible player on the field. It's the easiest one to criticize.
It's funny how forceful they are with that thought. That this is what I just watched it on TV, so I can only see the ball, or I was at the stadium, and I have made the decision that that is what they got to do. That will fix everything. It's funny to me because I'm going, I don't know that, and not only do I not know that, the coaches. Even the guys up in the booth, they have an idea, but until they actually go break it down and go, oh, gosh, why did this guy run that route at 9 when he's supposed to run it at 6? And then Taysom threw it to 6, and it looked like Taysom didn't know what he was doing.
Why is he floating out instead of diving back?
Why is that post-cross at 19 instead of 15? That's creating the wrong spacing out there. Why did the tackle double team with the guard instead of stepping out, and a guy was diving at Taysom's feet? So they're looking through all this going, wow, there's not one position that doesn't need to have some things done. But I think that they came out of it a little bit encouraged because they're like, it's just a little bit of everything, but there wasn't a lot of, we just physically can't match up. And that's encouraging because if you just physically can't match up, then what do you do? Then what do you fix? Well, we just can't play with these guys. That hasn't been the case through 3 weeks. This is a team that has a brand new offense that's trying to learn it, and they don't have the benefit of playing. Who did Alabama play last week?
They played Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. So who'd they play before that?
Before that was Western Kentucky.
Okay, we don't get to play Western Kentucky. All right, who did, there's been some big early season games.
Fear the Hilltoppers.
Yeah, but most big time. So Utah
had a great offense.
Utah had BYU, but in between that, they had Southern Utah and San Jose
State.
Because they're working on some new concepts offensively with a new quarterback.
Yes.
And they weren't really good offensively against BYU.
This is the bane of being an independent.
Thank you for blowing this trumpet, Blaine, because I've been trying to scream it. Not every team's opening up against 3. Make it 4 P5s.
Hey, how about 6? 6 really good teams to start. And so you don't have the advantage of learning and winning. Because what Utah can do, they learned a ton against Southern Utah and won. If Utah played against BYU the way they played against Southern Utah, they would have lost handily, right? And so they just don't have that advantage. And we said from the beginning of the year, if BYU could be 2-2 through the first 4 games, we would be happy. I wasn't going to be surprised by 1 and 3. I felt like 2 and 2 was good. 3 and 1, I was like, oh man, now we're really onto something. They're way ahead of schedule. So let's see how they do back against West Virginia. I don't think West Virginia is as great quickness, and offensively, a completely new challenge. It's probably the best offense BYU will have faced because they're balanced and they throw it all over the place and they've got speed everywhere on offense. So a new challenge. I think this BYU defense is really good, but we're going to see. And then offensively, I think BYU is going to have more success because I just don't think West Virginia, in terms of a matchup, creates as many problems for BYU as UCLA and Utah do.
It'll be an interesting matchup, that's for sure, and an important game for the BYU offense. So with all of this said about the offense as a whole and what needs to be fixed, is there a situation where you could see Tanner Mangum playing against West Virginia at all?
If they come out and there's just no momentum, I think Ty reserves the right in any game to have that conversation and go, gosh, if it becomes obvious that he's not playing well and it's on him, which obviously that wasn't the case last week. It's like, man, things are going bad, but there's this, there's that, there's this, there's that. We can't put that all on. If they got in a game and they just went, wow, here we are a quarter and a half into this, and this is all on Taysom, or enough of it, a high enough percentage of it, I don't think Ty always reserves the right to. Every quarterback coach reserves the right. If your guy's just not going and you got a really, really good guy, then you bring him in. Obviously, that wasn't the case last week, and obviously when they watched the film, where they really broke it down and looked at every single play and everybody's assignment, they went, man, there's a lot of blame to go around. So to pull Taysom based on that's not fair. So that's where they're coming from, and you got to support that. And now I've gotten to watch a lot of film, and I'm going, wow, there's a lot of little things that I didn't see just watching it until I watched them over and over again, where I'm going, they can fix that, they can fix this, they can fix that, they can be more effective. And Spencer, you said it right at the beginning. They don't have to be way more effective as good as this defense is. They just have to be a little bit better. And this season, they only need to be average on offense. And this is a process of moving from a spread team to a team that looks a lot more like Stanford or like a number of NFL teams, like the Seattle Seahawks. And that doesn't happen overnight.
They've also struggled on offense.
Right. So they need to be average and to get better throughout the season. And you don't just go get offensive linemen, you grow them. So for this type of offense, you get good talent, which I think they really like their young guys. But those young guys needed a little bit longer to develop, and they will. So we don't have to wait till all the guys are just recruiting get back from missions. They'll be better next year and better the year after that, and then they'll really be good. So we have to be a little bit patient.